afternoon, everyone. I hope I didn't just explode. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us on this momentous day. I have to say, as I stand here and look out at all of you, I am in awe of what you accomplished. The last year has been the most challenging that anyone can remember. Usually, when we gather for commencement, we celebrate a singular form of achievement, completing the requirements for graduating from Yale Law School. But today, we celebrate so much more because you did so much more. It brings me enormous joy that you can gather today as a class beneath sunny skies with hope and optimism that we are turning the corner on this pandemic. You started down this road together, and you are receiving what the poor class of 2020 was denied, the chance to gather together at the end of your 3L year as a community to celebrate. This is not our usual ceremony. It's a simpler one, but now feels like a time to celebrate simple joys. Now, while your class is here in full force, I am conscious that we are missing our usual commencement guests. So many of you decided to attend today that we are at maximum capacity at this moment and could not squeeze in even one more chair. So before the end of the ceremony, I will share the secret of how the remarkable Professor Monica Bell managed to nab a seat with us today. Even after I sternly told the entire faculty that they could not come to this event. But first and most importantly, I want to say to the families and loved ones who are watching today's ceremony, how much we wish that you were here with us. We miss you keenly, and we are aware that we are also missing people who could not even be here today to watch. There is no one who's going to cross the stage today who made that journey alone. We know how much love and support that you all watching today have provided for our graduates. And that is why we are so glad that we will celebrate a year from now as this class becomes the first class in the history of Yale Law School to graduate twice. So let us celebrate today, knowing that better days and a full ceremony are ahead. Now, while we did not realize until this week that virtually all of you were going to be here today to return for our celebration, we knew from the beginning that it would be impossible to do what we usually do, which is have the entire faculty here to watch you walk across the stage. So we asked a few of your favorite professors to share their thoughts on your graduation.
I will never forget my class of fall of 2018 small group from the class of 2021, because I think that they exemplify what the class as a whole embodies, and that's excellence and fun and commitment to figuring things out and making the world a better place.
My small group from now almost 3 years ago was one of the most brilliant I've had and one of the kindest.
It's really sad to us that we're going to be losing you, but you're going to have wonderful lives and careers, and you'll come back and see us a lot. I know you will.
The class of 2021 has had quite a ride. It started uniquely with the opening of Baker Hall, and I can remember my small group beginning in a very, very hot seminar room.
The intellectual curiosity and raw smarts of this group was spectacular.
Well, for me personally, the class of 2021 is the first class in which I had a small group. It was my first full year teaching at Yale Law School.
I hope you don't forget about your teachers, but one thing's for sure, we'll be watching your careers. We need the mark you've already begun to make on the world.
Congratulations to the class of 2021. Short of wartime, I think this class has probably had the most difficult logistical experience.
So this has been a class that has had to adjust to many things that were outside of its control. We as a country and as a species are going to have to adjust to things that are outside of our individual control.
One thing I will always remember about this class, I supervised 26 papers of students from this class, and every single one of them was intellectually cutting edge and on one of the important topics of our time.
You really changed the school in a lot of positive ways. So forcing us to have conversations about mentorship, about what our entire class environment is at the school.
You are all already exceptionally accomplished. You have big ideas, deep ideas. You've contributed to the world through the work that you've done on the ground, through the advocacy in which you've already engaged.
Our small group was so together, so supportive, so positive about each other. I felt everybody from the very beginning was cooperating and having a good time. And even when we were divided into teams for contracts jeopardy, people were just all so positive about each other. I think there's people in this class that are going to be friends for life.
I have a great memory of coming in to Baker Hall about a few months after my small group ended when this class was first years, and running into a bunch of them sitting and talking or studying together, having some really nice conversations. I was with my family, I was showing them Baker, and just had a really nice exchange. Everyone was really friendly. And then on leaving the building, I remember Steph, my wife, telling me, "That was great. What an incredible bunch of people, and how lucky I am to have taught them." And I could only agree.
Adversity can bring out the best in people, and that's certainly true of the class of 2021. I think the unique experiences we've all had living through this, with the students showing us the way, suggests that they will do special things in the future in different moments, but ones that are maybe present new challenges.
This experience no doubt has made you extraordinarily resilient and adaptable and committed to making the world a place where we can all accomplish our goals and our objectives.
As for what you'll do with it as you go out into the world, this is the same question for every Yale Law School class. We have high hopes. Some of you will be smashing successes, and we'll read about you in the future. And many of you will be quiet successes, and you'll have to come tell us about the lives that you've put together.
Godspeed to you all. Be safe, be well, and do the things you most want to do with your lives.
So now it is a moment for me to introduce our extraordinary guest speaker, Justice Sonia Sotomayor. She, needless to say, doesn't really need an introduction in this crowd. Her life and career have been an inspiration to thousands of people, lawyers and non-lawyers alike. She's a tireless advocate, a champion of justice, and a beloved alum. Throughout her time on the Supreme Court, Justice Sotomayor has proven herself again and again to be a voice for the least powerful among us. Whether standing together with a majority or alone in dissent, she has served as a protector, which is a tragically uncommon thing for a person of such great power to be. If there's one thing you should know about Justice Sotomayor, it is that she is guided by her own moral compass. And because she possesses her own compass, she is a fearless trailblazer whose life has been marked by historical firsts. And yet what makes her so special is not her illustrious career, her Ivy League pedigree, the endless list of professional accomplishments, or the power that she wields. What matters most is her integrity, her decency, and her unyielding determination to give voice to the voiceless. Even after a decade on the bench, Justice Sotomayor continues to remind us day after day, opinion after opinion, of the needs for lawyers to align their professional aspirations with their personal values. Her life has been a masterclass in balancing excellence with earnestness, authority with authenticity, and conviction with compassion. She is a model not just for you as lawyers, but far more importantly, for you as human beings. The degree we confer on you collectively today gives you power and authority. But what we want most for the education that lies behind it, is for this degree to leave you humble, kind, and with your heart fully intact. So before we hear from her, there's just one other thing you should know about Justice Sotomayor, which is she has a clear rule. She never gives commencement speeches. But when I shared with her what a tough year you all had and how much it would mean to you to have her send you off into the world, she accepted immediately. So I am thrilled beyond measure that she has decided to share her wisdom with us today. And it is with great pleasure and a deep sense of gratitude that I ask you, the class of 2021, to join me in welcoming Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Thank you, Heather, for those lovely words. I am delighted to be back at Yale Law School, even if it has to be a virtual visit. To all of the students gathering today, it is my privilege to be a part of this special day with you. You have finished a remarkable journey during especially difficult times. I know how challenging the last year has been in particular, and my heart goes out to those of you who have suffered illness or other hardship, or who have lost a loved one. I am thankful that we can take this day to celebrate all that you have accomplished and overcome. Congratulations. Today marks a momentous transition in your lives, the closing of your formal education chapters and the beginning of your professional careers. I can still remember the mixture of excitement and trepidation I felt when I was sitting where you are now. Although I say that figuratively because I was actually standing in the law school's courtyard for my graduation. You're a bit more comfortable. Not to scare you, but in a sense, your paths in the law will be more challenging than mine was when I graduated. Let me explain why. I was born a month after the court's decision in Brown versus Board of Education. The fact that I was able to graduate from Yale Law School only 25 years later was a direct product of that landmark decision. Growing up in a South Bronx public housing project, against the backdrop of the civil rights movement, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer from an early age. In those times, there was simply no higher calling than to seek justice on behalf of those who were denied it. That conviction only grew stronger by the time I graduated law school. We understood the law as a force for good. We had Justice Thurgood Marshall, a black man, on the Supreme Court. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor arrived as the first woman only 2 years after I graduated. The world and our work within it felt steeped in possibility. We not only saw the social utility of being a lawyer, but also believed in its power to change the very structure of our society. On top of that, job opportunities were plentiful, especially for Yale Law graduates, and we were less burdened with tuition loans and other financial constraints than students often are today. You are graduating into a very different world, one where lawyers are less revered, one where the good that lawyers can do is viewed more skeptically, and even cynically by some. One where it is especially challenging to sustain the cost of living while working at a public interest job, especially if you have family obligations. Graduating in 2021, choosing to practice the law now, is no small thing. Indeed, as star Yankees catcher and wordsmith Yogi Berra once said, the future ain't what it used to be. The last few years have been particularly tumultuous for the legal profession. I suspect that you have all been thinking a lot lately about what the law's role in society is and what your role in both should be. Let me tell you from my experience that you will never stop asking yourselves those questions, nor should you. In fact, I urge you to reflect constantly on these questions. Doing so is essential to the health of our profession and our civil society, and for your own happiness. As you attempt to find answers that resonate for you, let me offer a few reflections on the law and the ways in which you contribute to its betterment. The first is that process matters. It is critical to justice. It may have seemed arbitrary, even a bit cruel, that the law school would subject you to worldwide Volkswagen, International Shoe, and other barn burners of civil procedure during your first semester. It was not. You started there for a reason. The procedures by which legal claims are formed, channeled, and decided can matter as much as the substance of the claims themselves. None recognize that fact more clearly than my dear friend and colleague, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a luminary in matters of procedure, and she devoted herself to its intricacies because it is so important to the people facing the sharp edges of the law. I too started my career with civil procedure, not just in law school, mind you, but on the Supreme Court. My first opinion for the court concerned the most scintillating topic, the collateral order doctrine. I have never stopped thinking about the ways in which our processes can help bring to light potentially meritorious claims, and the ways they can hinder that essential purpose. A recurring theme in my jurisprudence has been identifying and addressing injustices in our legal procedures. As newly minted lawyers, you are going to be relied on to navigate our complex legal system. Your client may face an imminent harm and need immediate relief, like a TRO or a stay pending appeal. You may be approaching trial, whether civil or criminal, and have to negotiate the back and forth of discovery. Or you have a client who has discovered a constitutional violation undermining her conviction, requiring you to brave the labyrinth of federal habeas procedure. As you grapple with these issues, you will gain a concrete appreciation for the real substantive work that our procedures do in safeguarding rights. You will also gain a sober understanding of the ways in which our procedures fall short. My charge to you is this: never stop being students of procedure. Never lose that critical eye and eagerness to learn and master the rules. It will be your life's work, and it will help you do a lot of good. My second reflection is that storytelling matters. As much as the law can be focused on problems that seem technical or abstract, the core work of our profession is to translate real people's stories into a common legal language. That is the responsibility I took up when I started my first job as a prosecutor, and it is the work I continue to this day. Every term, I try my best to reflect in my opinions the real experiences of the people affected. One of the most important parts of having one's day in court is simply being heard. Your job as you head off this year is to find people who have stories that need to be told, and to tell those stories well. Some of you may already be adept storytellers. For others, it may not come naturally at first. Here is my advice to all of you. Figure out how to express what is really at stake as simply and straightforwardly as you can. The best lawyers can make the most complex disputes plain and understandable. Try out your arguments and presentations on your non-lawyer family and friends. If they understand the importance of what you are fighting for, so will the judge and the jury. The ability to bring a case to life for people is a potent skill, and is one that can be learned with practice. Finally, the third reflection I want to share is that in the law, as in life, honesty matters. It matters more than anything else. It is imperative to maintain honesty about precedent, honesty about the facts of your case, and honesty in your conduct. You will inevitably find yourself in situations where it seems expedient or advantageous to bend the truth, or even hide it in a misleading way. That will always be the wrong decision. This is especially true now that you are becoming lawyers. You owe a duty of candor to your clients and to the court, and you will be held to a high standard of professional responsibility throughout your career. And by the way, judges and justices do notice when you fail in your responsibility. You must therefore reaffirm your faith in and loyalty to the truth. Let me tell you a hard truth now. The legal profession can be a difficult place. There is a lot of suffering and a lot of injustice out there. You will lose cases, including ones you ached to win. And there will be many, many sleepless nights. Throughout my career, there have been times when I have felt overwhelmed and exhausted. But I have never allowed those feelings to stop me from doing what is necessary to the pursuit of justice. And through it all, I have tried to practice the law according to the principles I have given you today. They have been steadying forces for me, and I hope they will serve you well in your careers. Now, given these challenges and uncertainties, and the fierce resistance you will encounter to that which you believe is right and just, how can I tell you to maintain optimism? What can I say that will inspire you to have the same passion I have? To never let go of the fundamental belief that you and the rest of our community of lawyers still can and will better our society. Well, first and foremost, I would say to never forget the progress that lawyers have driven up to this point. Racial integration, the advancement of women's rights, these are developments that happened during my lifetime, spearheaded by dedicated lawyers like Thurgood Marshall and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You all have grown up in a world transformed by the seismic shift these lawyers engineered. As a result, more recent changes can feel slower and more marginal than the sweeping changes of my youth. Indeed, it is incremental work. But incremental work shores up hard-earned advances. Without it, we are liable to slip backwards. And let me tell you, we stand to lose so much without lawyers like you. Second, remember to draw inspiration from the lawyers you admire and emulate their practices. Lawyers worth looking to are everywhere. There are those who rush to airports on the heels of the travel ban. There are those who educate the public on issues of qualified immunity and criminal justice reform. There are those fighting to ensure electoral equality. These and many other lawyers should prompt you to reimagine what is possible for you and for our society. Don't give up hope. Last, remember that frustration comes with the work. My job certainly can be discouraging. You may be surprised to learn that I do not like having to dissent as much as I do. But the moments of frustration should never stop you from zealously insisting on what you know to be just and right. That brings me back to all of you graduating today. Despite all of the reasons not to be, I am hopeful today because I know what's coming. I caught a glimpse of it back in 2011 when a wide-eyed 17-year-old high school student named Isadora Harcourt came to intern in my chambers. I was thrilled, but not surprised, when she later decided to come to this law school. This is a special place that attracts students who have tremendous potential to make positive changes. You are a new generation of talented, caring, and courageous people who will take the reins of our profession and continue the drive towards progress. The thought of all of you and everything you are poised to achieve buoys my spirits and renews my faith. I would like to end today where my thoughts often go when I think about the challenges we face. My mom. She overcame so much, growing up as an orphan raised by siblings in Puerto Rico, migrating to the United States during World War II, and raising me and my brother mostly alone while working as a nurse. When I got into Princeton, she insisted on using the little money she had saved to buy me a coat. It was a white coat, sleek, well-made, and trimmed with fake fur. In my eyes, it was one of the most beautiful garments I had ever owned. I wore that coat till its death. As we left the store, she looked at me with her usual steadiness and said, "What have you gotten yourself into, mijita? I don't know, but we are going to find out." She knew that things were about to change drastically for us. I am not sure she or I fully appreciated the scale of the changes that were to come. But whatever happened, wherever I went, she wanted me to have that coat. To have a piece of her holding me close, reminding me of who I am and where I came from. All of you are about to set off on a new journey, filled with dramatic and unexpected changes and challenges. I wish that I could wrap each of you in a brand new coat to protect you on the path ahead. While I cannot give you a physical keepsake, I urge you always to remember who you are and where you came from. Chase your dreams far and wide. Seek out those in need wherever they might be, and learn all you can tell. But do it in a way that stays true to the incredible people you have become and to the nobility of the profession you have chosen. And please remember to call up your families now and then. While you're at it, don't forget to thank them for today. To the class of 2021, congratulations again. Thank you for inviting me to share this day with you. I hope our paths cross again in the future. Until then, I wish you the very best.
So I often have to speak on behalf of an institution, and this is the most glorious way to speak on behalf of an institution. On behalf of Yale Law School, congratulations to the class of 2021. As I said a few moments ago, you have achieved what other YLS classes have achieved, but you've done it under extraordinary conditions. Being a law student is a trying experience under normal circumstances. Being a law student during a global pandemic is a task that no one could be prepared for. You haven't just experienced a global pandemic, you've also experienced a period of enormous political upheaval amidst the beginning of a long overdue racial reckoning. When the pandemic is far behind us, we will still be talking about and processing your generation's work on climate change, economic inequality, and racial injustice. It has been at least half a century since the last time that we've seen anything even close to what you have all experienced. In the crucible of the 1960s and 70s, politics were deeply polarized. Resistance to the civil rights movement was fierce, and the war in Vietnam loomed large for the entire generation. Those were hard years, but they were important ones. This country changed, and so did this law school. That generation left an indelible mark on this community, a grading system that allowed students to find joy in their education, the seeds of a clinical program that would reshape our ethos, and the initial steps toward an aspiration of inclusion and equality for all, both inside and outside these walls. I hope that the students who follow you in the coming decades will look upon your generation's legacy here as an important one too, just as I hope that your work in the coming decades will serve as a source of pride and sustenance for this community. But no one could possibly doubt what you have achieved today simply by crossing the finish line. And yet, you've all done so much more than cross a finish line. This class includes students who possess the imagination not only to succeed at the goals they've been given, but to invent their own. The resilience not only to care for themselves, but to advocate for others. And the empathy necessary to be good thinkers, good lawyers, and above all, good people. Imagination, resilience, and kindness. Those are the qualities that the world needs right now. And dreaming a better world into existence is not an easy task. It's one that requires the right combination of imagination and realism, hope and cynicism, dauntlessness and doubt. In working to change how we see the world, you join one of the finest traditions of this law school. Like the students who preceded you, you've written and edited scholarship on every topic imaginable. You've published pieces in legal journals and newspapers. You've drafted legislation and proposed new policies. You've testified in Hartford and DC, and your briefs have reached judges across the country. You've protested and rallied and stood for change. You put forward bold ideas to address the crises we face now and the crises we will face in the future. Collectively, your work has helped all of us envision a world that is just, humane, and free. I've also been struck by the resilience so many of you have shown over the last year. Despite the innumerable challenges in front of you, many of you found it within yourselves to help those in greater need. You need look no farther than the work of our clinics to realize what a mark this class has made on the world. You helped win changes that will enable thousands of veterans affected by PTSD to get the benefits they deserve. You helped obtain a 22-year sentence reduction, forever changing a man's life and the life of his entire family. Thanks to members of this class, DACA was reinstated in its pre-2017 form. The Trump administration's cruel public charge rule was suspended in the Ninth Circuit. Connecticut is on the verge of passing a new equality-promoting Parentage Act, and countless residents of New Haven were able to obtain the help they desperately needed. The list goes on and on. And of course, your civic work wasn't confined to the clinics. Throughout your time here, many of you have served as peer advocates and affinity group leaders, as mentors and role models. You have supported and cared for one another at a moment when it would have been acceptable to focus just on yourself. You dug deep. You found it within yourselves to direct attention to those who are around you. And amazingly enough, amidst global and personal struggles, you never lost your humanity. The darkness of this year has been lit up by flashes of playfulness, empathy, and kindness. Miraculously, you've even kept your sense of humor, which is Dean speak for you made me laugh quite a bit. Perhaps that's not surprising given that your small group Olympics featured teams like the Baby Bells, the Billionaires, the Kohler House Party, and if I recall correctly, the Listocats eventually prevailed and celebrated, consistent with Yair's strategy, by holding a 15-minute meditation session and reminding everyone that the real competition is within. One moment that really stood out for me was last spring when our community was scattered and the pandemic loomed so large, and yet you all managed to pull off together my favorite law review show so far, Zoom Review, at just the moment when we all needed some laughter and joy. We all hope that this society never experiences another year like this one, but we know other crises will come, and we take enormous faith. I take enormous faith in the fact that you will face them with imagination, resilience, and the kindness that has defined the very best of this class. You will be the first class in YLS history to graduate twice, and it is a fitting tribute to all that you have gone through to get here and all that you have done while you are here. And for these reasons, I am particularly delighted for the traditional moment when you get to walk across the stage, and I'm very happy to invite Dean Cosgrove and Dean Silverstein to read the names of our graduating class.
Dean Gerken, members of the faculty, distinguished guests, friends, and family across 24 time zones. It's my high privilege and distinct honor to present to you the candidates for graduate degrees in law. For the degree of Doctor of the Science of Law, Gilad Abiri. Tomas Dombrovsky. Yuvraj Joshi. Zhenzhen Liu. Ilu. Brandon Dwayne Stewart. Patrick Wieland. Angela Zorro Medina. For the degree of Master of Laws, Sohela Ibrahimi Luia. Aiden Efren Antoni Figueroa. Pinchas Huberman. Shaka Shakira Laguerre. Helen Margarita Knoll. And for the degree of Master of Studies in Law, Joseph J. Fischel. And for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Law, Thomas Elias Kadri and Grant Alexander Nunn. Welcome.
Dean Gherkin, members of the faculty, distinguished guests, friends and family watching from around the world, and most importantly, the Yale Law School class of 2021. It is my distinct honor and privilege to present the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor. Adnan Omaran Abdin. Hannah Claire Abelo. Dhruv Chand Agarwal. Hirzada Ahmed. Timur Akman Duffy. Neil Michael Alacha. Juliet Elizabeth Allen. Jacob Rishus Alali. Jordan Andrew Alston. Hirsa Amin. Karen Marie Anderson. Gabriel Anderson. Sophia Lee Angelis. Kosi Julian Anianefa. Aslahan Azil. Georgia Boyd Aziaku. Sarah Bashadi. Michael Beechert. Raquel Villanova Lopez Begleiter. Claire Elizabeth Michelle Benoit. Molly Lynn Berkowitz. Sarah Bellin Bernardo. Rishab Bahardi. Layla Ann Blatt. Lauren Blazing. Jeffrey Jacob Hamilton Block. Claire May Blumenthal. Sumaya Buadi. Alexander Toth Boudreau. Jordan Berkeley Brewington. Ketoya Marche Burrell. Alexander Burt. Mikhail Mushinsky. Maria Camila Bustos. Maria Camila Bustos. Peter Jans Kalelo. Sarah Noel Camiscoli. Natalie Savoy Cawley. Damian Christopher Chang. Brian Chen. Lisa Chen. Jenny Jihoon Choi. Kamalin Yunsu Choi. Ria Antoinette Christmas. Frank Joseph Costa Jr. Taylor Jackson Craner. Jordan Page Dannenberg. Benjamin Peter Doss. Charles Joseph Ross Duvall. Benjamin Brad Dearden. Charushina Deb. Andrew Clement Digliomo. Brooke Allison DeColf. Sophia Allo Dill. Hannah Daniels Duncan. Allison Riley Durkin. Kyla Linnea Eastling. Isabel Maria Acharte. Shannon Lynn Eddy. Carolina Yuki Iguchi Yamamoto. Michael Kakuichi and Seke Frank. Sarah Epler Epstein. Daniel Esses. Corey Alexander Evans. Eli Agus Feasley. Joshua Michael Feinsick. Melissa Fitch. Abigail Davidson Fish. James Fitch. Sean Cadden Foley. Grant Willis Gabriel. Julia Rachel Geiger. Benjamin Mark Gehrig Shelley. Summer Gazala. Florencio Armando Ginaglia Socorro. Casey Guilfoyle. Jose Fernando Huron Arias. Jeffrey Michael Gordon. Antonio Miguel Grayson. Hannah Perelson Gross. Joshua Michael Guerra. Emily Hall. Lily Wilmot Halpern. Lisa Santilli Hansman. Megan McLaughlin Hauptman. Paul Anthony Healy. Adina Hemley Bronstein. Bianca Monet Hurlitz Ferguson. Alan Joseph Hernandez. Hillary Julissa Higgins. Anne Elizabeth Himes. Tristan Michael Hood. Duncan Charles Hosey. Shayna Paulina Hurley. Ezra Husney. Sarah Huttenlocker. Chandani Jha. Olympia Caragiorgio. Julu Beth Ketikaran. Anna Ophelia Call. Matthew Scott Kellner. Donna Kabaz. Natasha Ramani Khan. Daniel Roland Key. Nicholas Kiyoki Kilstein. Brian Jayuk Kim. Adam David Kinkley. Callie Sarah Klein. Adair Klein-Peter Ross. Catherine Cheesty Kornman. Tobias Kuhn. Sam Asher Kuhn. Sophie Lang. Diane Elizabeth Lake. Sarah Lamsifer. Caroline Violet Lawrence. Jamie Hunter Lee. Catherine Torres Levian. Brandon Scott Coleman Levin. Gabriel Leopold Levine. Rebecca Lewis. Jonathan Ilias Liebman. Preston Jordan Lim. Yao Lin. Yun Ling. Matthew Warren Lindsley. Destiny Rose Lopez. Michael Stephen Laughlin. Zachary Jake Lusbader. Ann Esther Manov. Kelly Elizabeth McClure. Lawrence William McMahon. Edgar Andre Melgard. Brennan Keen Mendez. Felicia Rael Miles. Salvatore Joseph Minipoli. Richard Allen Mitchell. Younghoon David Moon. Edgar Taylor Morris IV. Connor Philip Moy. Jacob Walker Murphy. Alexander Nabavi Nori. Alejandro Andre Nava Cuenca. Madison Avery Needham. John Thomas Nelson. Kara McConnell Newland. Wisha Gang Nambunanant. Raymond Lincoln Noonan III. Matthew Noel Kelsall Oliver. Stephanie Ostrowski. Mackenzie Kaylin Penhoha. Megan Lillian Pearson. Michael Lee Pell. Scott Perigo. Kamini Persog. Molly Beryl Pachenik. Jonathan William Phillips. Edward Lawrence Pickup. Kathleen Herva Pierre. Laura Isabel Pietrotoni. Samuel Preston. Matthew Chauvin Quallen. Allison Rapkin Golden. Ketan Ramakrishnan. Benjamin David Roshkovich. Jashan Ravintharan. Shiv Ratan Raval. John Nathaniel Reed. Patrick Eugene Reedy. Bianca Ray. Cole Riley Rianda. Derek Rice. Shamel Eslin Richards. Andrew James Rising. Bethany Michelle Robinson. Isadora Renee Ryder Harcourt. Sarah Elizabeth Sampoli. Kira Elise Schoonover. Jacob Schreiner Briggs. Jeffrey Brooks Schroeder. Eric Schwed. Simone Monet Seaver. Benjamin Taylor Seymour. Shithij Srinath. Blake Norman Schultz. Benjamin Gordon Silver. Michael Slomowitz. Rebecca Hilton Steele. Daniel Sam Stein. Talia Stender. Mark Anthony Stevens, Jr. Catherine Margaret Surma. Sherry Maria Tanius. Holden Tanner. Michael Allen Tyag. Shelby Teeter. Hannah Lorraine Templin. Michael Dylan Thompson. Robin Thomas Tips. Kimberly Tisder. Jesse Bernardine Tripathi. Lauren Alexander Trujillo. Jessica Ann Tuller. Bronson Christopher Tunstall. Gabriela Alexandra Vasquez. Emmanuel Austin Waddell III. Ramis Jamal Wadood. Serena Marguerite Walker. Caroline Harris Wallace. Siki Wang. Susan Sinchen Wang. Meredith Lukens Wheeler. Anna Elizabeth Wary. Brandon Allen Wilmore. Daisy Davis Wolf. Alan Keith Woolridge. Sarah Worth. Logan Christopher Greenleaf Wren. Yaren Yang. Emily Ye. Caleb Ho-Kit Young. Tongja Alex Zhang. Ariana Helene Zogi. And Jessica Yeying Zhou.
All, I present to you the class of 2021. So this will not be the last time this class gathers together. We have every hope that next year you will all be here alongside the class of 2020 to celebrate with family, friends, staff, and the entire faculty. So I want to take this moment to thank the many, many staff members, some of whom are here, but most of whom are not, who didn't just make this ceremony happen, they made today possible. They have worked nonstop since last March to hold this community together and to push forward our mission. We owe them an enormous debt, and I ask you, for the ones that are here and the ones who are not, to please join me in thanking the staff for this extraordinary year. So I also want to thank the faculty, which brings me to the question of how exactly did Professor Bell end up sitting on this podium after I told the entire faculty that because almost the entire class was here, that no one on the faculty could attend. So shortly after that email went out, Professor Bell wrote me to say that she was heartbroken, that we had no room for faculty at this ceremony because her first small group was graduating today, and she felt especially strong ties to this class. She also added, as you might have noticed, that she would be happy to volunteer as an usher or organizer if necessary to earn a seat. Now the dean and me paused for a moment as I imagined what exactly this event would look like had the faculty been in charge of logistics. But I eventually concluded that the reason to include Professor Bell was, as we academics like to say, overdetermined. So first, in volunteering to serve as an usher, She had just outlawyered the entire faculty. Second, Professor Bell embodies the very best values of the place. She's a great scholar and a great teacher. She pairs extraordinary intellect with a deep humanity. And third, as our most junior faculty member, she carries forward a tradition that stretches across generations. So I know some of you were there as Guido, who is at the other end of that list, having taught for 60 years, gave his last torts class with 150 faculty, staff, and friends in attendance. And it feels appropriate to me to have Monica Bell's presence here and Guido's last class as joyous bookends to a difficult year. And so I'm going to allow Guido to give the last word as we say goodbye to all of you. And then I will, consistent with your finishing your graduation requirements, graduate you. So first, let's hear from Guido.
Dear friends, I taught a fair number of you in your very first term in torts, and a few of you also in Conlit later, and I know just how wonderful you and all your classmates are. You are people who can make the world better, and you will. Just remember, excellence is fine, but only when combined with decency, humanity, and love. So go out into the world and love each other. Love everyone. Make the world better. You have all the skills. You have all the qualities. And I know you will do it and make your parents, your friends, your partners, and your school immensely proud of you. God bless you.
So on behalf of Yale Law School, I now pronounce you the graduated class of 2021. Congratulations, come back home soon, we love you.